Hello and welcome back to Let's Play Bit.Trip.Runner and Ginger Pit. We only have 4 more levels to go, and the boss, so let's get on with it. Alright, we got a real tricky jump coming up here. Looks rather easy, but I swear it's really tough. I managed to fumble it up more than enough. The final levels of the game are unsurprisingly pretty harsh, and getting under these spiders isn't exactly a picnic either. And a lot of the jumps over the flames are still pretty awful, tricky to pull off. And I spent quite a lot of time in these retro levels too. Not as much as Leaky Kringston, mind you. Oh, you knew I was gonna bring it up, shut up. Oh boy, the gauntlet gives us one heck of a start. Check this out. Easier than it looks. Seriously. All you need to do is hold down the entire time and press the jump button on every other beat. That platform is a trap, and so is this one. If you jump on them in hopes of getting more points, you'll just bump your head into the ceiling and you'll have to restart the level. And yes, I did fall for that actually, thanks for asking. The Gauntlet is among the longest levels in Zone 3, and it's one of the best. The beginning is frightening at first glance, but for once in the game your inputs actually follow the 4/4 beat exactly. If you have trouble with that section, just tap your foot to the beat and try to match your jumps to that. And lo and behold, one of the best retro levels in the game. This is actually a lot of fun to do. I really like these spider cavern sections in the level. It's a nice touch of variety compared to just about every retro level. I wish there were more of those because they're the most interesting part of Zone 3 in my book. Beginning of the end, the penultimate level. You may remember there was a level called End of the Beginning in Zone 1, and you may think that's clever and funny. But it isn't. The level's pretty good though. Well, no big surprise they'd reuse that. I think the melody actually went according to rhythm this time too. That's an improvement. Oh, why would you do that, game? Every springboard in Zone 3 has worked perfectly up to this point. Was it really necessary this close to the end? Oh boy, the second to last retro level. It's got one of the hardest jumps in the game coming up right about here. I don't think I'm gonna make it on my first try. Huh. So that went off without a hitch. I'm actually really surprised because the second jump over the flame and onto the gold piece is pretty much a pixel perfect jump and you have to hover on top of that. Definitely harder than I made it look right there. I gotta say though, the difficulty curve thing, yeah, it's not this game's strongest suit. Not really. Okay, time for the final level of the game, 311 Rusty Warren. It's a pretty long level and it starts by throwing cubes at your private parts. The game's way of saying hands up, I suppose. Oh, I bet you knew this was coming at some point. Oh, another wave. So those were pretty weird cube combinations towards the end there. It can throw you off your first time unless you can quickly assess the trajectory of the cubes, which really isn't difficult, and even so you should be able to memorize the pattern of the cubes in a couple of runs tops. Now about the difficulty curve that I mentioned, this here is the final retro level in the game. You'd expect it to be really tough, but after everything so far, it's almost embarrassingly easy. But then, imagine if this was, and I'm sorry for bringing this up again, but imagine if this was the Leaky Kringston challenge, right here. And imagine failing that dozens upon dozens of times, having to return to the beginning of Rusty Warren. spending 2 minutes just to get back to the retro level over and over and over again. Oh man, it would be a nightmare. But thankfully we don't have to do that. In fact, we don't have to do much of anything anymore. Every level's perfected, so all that's left is to go and beat the final boss. The source. Right, so after everything we've been through, this here is nothing. It's absolutely nothing. If you can make it this far, you'll have no trouble whatsoever clearing the final boss. Oh hey, Junior Melchkin, what's up, buddy? So some of the characters we've been spotting in the backgrounds of some of the levels in the previous updates are here to give us a helping hand. They always just give you a boost to the next section, though. Next up is Ratbot. I still don't see what's so rad about him. And that's Super Meat Boy, the last NPC, so I imagine pretty soon we'll be kicking the boss in the nuts and bolts. Which is fine by me, because it's starting to get a little repetitive here. Well, there's a new face. I guess we'll find out who she is eventually. Okay, last flight of stairs. Let's do this. Oops. Oh, shucks. It was the last life, too. Well, too bad. It's game over. Nothing we can do about that, except just go back and cut to the final climb. And this time, actually get the springboard activated. What, he wasn't in the background? I always figured he was in the background. But he was just really tiny, and in the front. Wow, that's a lot of achievements. So getting all the gold in Zone 3, beating the game on perfect difficulty, and getting a perfect score in every level, including... this one. There we go, that's the game done, folks, so let's check out the ending, I guess. Not much to do on this screen. What a fine ending. What an absolutely astonishing closer to all things beautiful. So my thoughts on the game? I think it's okay, it's pretty good. It's not a masterpiece. I doubt I would include it in my top 100 games list, if I ever made such a list. It's kind of unpolished and it suffers from a few design decisions. The difficulty curve for one, the fact you have to redo levels just to return to the retro levels, almost pixel perfect jumps. Little things really, but put together they do reduce the fun factor. But it was enough to keep me occupied for a while and actually beat it with the hardest difficulty, which took me about 21 hours, if Steam is to be believed. Which is kind of funny, since getting 100% save on Bit.Trip.Runner 2 only took me about 16, and it's a lot longer game. And on that note, if you want the runner experience, you should go straight to the sequel. It looks better, it sounds better, it's easier, there are checkpoints in every level, the difficulty curve is actually a curve, there's diverging paths, hidden levels, multiple characters, and so on. It fixed a lot of the issues from the first game and feels like a more finished product of the two. And that's really all I have to say about this one, so stick around for a while, there's a little extra scene after the credits are done. I'm not a man. Tippletut baby, you gotta work on your burns. And Runner 2, of course, continues where this one left off. But that's got nothing to do with us. So that's the end of that. It was both wonderful and atrocious making this LP. Thanks for watching, everyone.